Alright, guys, today we're talking about a Washington quarter that sold for a mind-blowing $1 million. That's right, a simple 1966 no-mint mark quarter ended up being a life-changing discovery for one lucky collector. Now, I know what you're thinking. How in the world can a quarter be worth $1 million? After all, we've all seen these 1960s quarters before. They're not silver, they're not super old, and they don't look all that special. But let me tell you, there's a hidden reason why a few of these quarters are bringing in crazy money at auctions. Stick with me, because today, I'm breaking it all down. We're going to talk about what makes the 1966 Washington quarter so rare, how to tell if you have the valuable version, and what the current market looks like for these coins. You'll want to check your old change jars after this one. Before we get into the details, let me tell you a quick story about the time I almost threw away a valuable Washington quarter. A few years ago, I was helping a buddy clean out his garage. We found an old coffee can filled with random coins, mostly quarters and dimes from the 60s and 70s. He told me, "Take whatever you want, just get rid of the rest." So, I started sifting through them, looking for anything interesting. I saw a few silver dimes, nothing crazy. But then, I picked up a 1966 quarter that looked different. It had a bold strike, super sharp details, and almost a proof-like shine. Something told me to hold on to it. When I got home, I did some research and realized it might be one of the ultra-rare special mint set, SMS, quarters with a unique die variety. Now, my quarter wasn't the $1 million version, but I still sold it for over $2,000. And that got me thinking, how many people have spent these rare quarters without realizing their true value? That's why I'm making this video, because one of you out there might be sitting on $1 million coin without even knowing it. So, what's the big deal with the 1966 quarter? Well, most of them are just regular pocket change. But a few were struck under unique circumstances, making them incredibly rare and valuable. Back in 1965, the U.S. Mint removed mint marks from coins to discourage hoarding during the coin shortage. That means all quarters from 1966 were struck without a mint mark, whether they came from Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. Some 1966 quarters were made with a special mint set, SMS, finish, which is shinier and more detailed than regular coins. But even rarer than those are the 1966 quarters with an ultra-rare double die error, where the lettering and details on Washington's face appear doubled, the rarest of the rare. A 1966 quarter struck on a silver planchet, a leftover blank from 1964 that somehow got used 2 years later. That's the kind of mistake that turns a simple quarter into $1 million payday, and guess what? One of these just sold for over $1 million at auction. Alright, so how can you tell if you've got one of these rare 1966 quarters? If your quarter has an unusually shiny or proof-like appearance, it could be a rare special mint set, SMS, strike. Use a magnifying glass to inspect the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." If you see doubling, you might have a valuable double die variety. The standard 1966 quarter is made of clad copper nickel, meaning the edge will show a copper band. But if you see a solid silver edge, you might have the ultra-rare silver planchet error. Regular 1966 quarters should weigh 5.67 grams, but if yours is closer to 6.25 grams, it could be struck on a silver blank. If you think your quarter is special, send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC for authentication. If you find one with these rare features, you might be sitting on a small fortune. Now, let's talk about what these quarters are worth in today's market. These are worth just 25 cents. If it's heavily worn, it's just pocket change. If your quarter is in uncirculated condition, it can sell for $20 to $100. These can go for $500 to $5,000, depending on condition. If your quarter has noticeable doubling, it could be worth $10,000 to $50,000. This is the holy grail. A 1966 quarter accidentally struck on a silver blank recently sold for over $1 million at auction, and as more collectors hunt for these, prices are only going up. So where can you actually find one of these valuable quarters? If you've been holding on to coins from the 60s, now's the time to dig through them. Many people sell old coins without realizing their worth. Some collectors search through rolls of quarters hoping to find hidden treasures. If your dad or grandpa saved coins, there could be something valuable hiding in their stash. Simple 1966 Washington quarter turned someone into a millionaire. And the crazy part? There could be more of these out there, just waiting to be found. Even if you don't have the $1 million version, checking your coins could still turn up something worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Go grab your old quarters and start looking. And if you think you found something special, let me know in the comments. Also, if you love videos about rare and valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got more incredible coin stories coming, and you won't want to miss them. Alright, guys, get ready for this one because today, we're talking about a 1965 Washington quarter that sold for an unbelievable $1.1 million. That's right, a single 25-cent coin turned into a life-changing payday for one lucky collector. Now, I know what you're thinking. After all, we see these coins all the time. But here's the deal, not all quarters are created equal, and this one had something special about it that made collectors go crazy at auction. So today, we're going to break it all down. We'll cover what makes this particular 1965 quarter so valuable, how you can spot one, and what the market looks like for these rare coins right now. And trust me, by the end of this video you'll be checking every quarter in your house, your car, and maybe even your pockets, because you never know, you could be sitting on $1 million fortune without even realizing. We get into the details. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was at a coin show, just browsing through stacks of old change. I've been doing this for years, so I wasn't expecting to find anything crazy, just looking for some good deals. Well, I stopped at a table where a dealer had a pile of 1965 quarters. Most people walked right past them because, let's be honest, 1965 quarters aren't usually worth much, but as I flipped through, one quarter felt different. The color was off, the edge looked sharper, and something about the weight seemed unusual. I bought it for a few bucks, thinking it might just be a nice collectible. Later that night, I got out my scale and checked the weight. That's when my heart started racing. It was struck on silver. Now, mine wasn't the $1 million one, but it still sold for thousands of dollars. How many people have spent rare, valuable quarters without even knowing? That's why you need to hear this. Because the next big discovery? It could be sitting in your pocket change, right? So, what makes this quarter worth over $1 million? It all comes down to a rare minting mistake. In 1965, the US Mint made a big change. They stopped using 90% silver for quarters and switched to a cheaper copper-nickel blend. Some 1965 quarters were accidentally struck on silver planchets. A few leftover silver blanks from 1964 got mixed in with the new copper-nickel ones, and the mint didn't catch the mistake before these coins went into circulation. This means there are 1,965 quarters out there that were struck in 90% silver, and collectors will pay insane amounts to get their hands on one. The rarest and highest graded one ever found sold for $1.1 million at auction. Alright, now let's talk about how to check if you've got one of these rare quarters. Regular 1965 quarters have a copper-colored edge. If you see orange or brown tones along the edge, it's just a normal copper-nickel quarter. But if the edge looks solid silver, with no copper showing, you could have a silver planchet error. A regular 1965 quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. But if your coin weighs around 6.25 grams, it means it was struck on a leftover 90% silver blank from 1964. That's the big money coin. If you drop a silver quarter on a hard surface, it makes a high-pitched ringing sound, while copper-nickel quarters make a dull, clunky sound. It's a quick way to check before getting out a scale. Some of these silver planchet errors were struck with extra detail and a higher quality finish. If your 1965 quarter has sharper details and a mirror-like surface, it might be an even rarer find. If you think you've got something special, don't sell it to just anyone. Send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC to confirm if it's the real deal. Now, let's talk money. Not every 1965 quarter is worth $1 million, but even common ones in good condition can sell for way more than face value. Most are worth 25 cents to a couple of dollars, depending on condition. These can sell for $50 to $500 if they're in exceptional condition. This is where things get serious. A 1965 quarter struck on a silver blank can sell for $3,000 to $10,000 in lower grades and $50,000 to $500,000 in higher grades. The best-known 1965 silver quarter, graded MS-68, sold for $1.1 million at auction, and with collectors always looking for top-grade examples, prices are only going up. You don't have to be a professional collector to find one of these rare quarters. Check that dusty change jar in your house. People often sell old coins without knowing their value. Some collectors hunt through rolls of quarters from the bank, and once in a while, they hit a jackpot. Believe it or not, some of these coins are still in circulation. One lucky collector turned a regular-looking quarter into $1.1 million. And the craziest part? There could be more of these out there just waiting to be discovered. Even if you don't have the $1 million version, a high-grade 1965 quarter can still be worth thousands. So do yourself a favor, check your old quarters, and if you think you found something valuable, let me know in the comments. Also, if you love videos about rare and valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got more amazing coin stories coming, and you won't want to miss them. Alright, fellas, today we're diving into one of the most shocking coin stories of recent times, the 1987 D Washington quarter that sold for an absolutely mind-blowing $1.2 million. That's right, a simple 25-cent piece, the kind you might find in your old change jar or tucked away in a dresser drawer, could be worth a life-changing fortune. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, how does a regular quarter from 1987 end up selling for that kind of money? Well, stick with me because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what makes this coin special, how to tell if you have one, and what the current market looks like for these rare finds. And let me tell you, you might want to start checking your pocket change after this because you never know, one of these could be sitting right under your nose. Before we get into the details, let me tell you a quick story. A few years back, I was helping a friend go through his dad's old coin collection. Now, this wasn't some massive collection with glass cases and high-end grading. No, this was just a couple of coffee cans filled with loose change, some old rolls, and a few albums that we weren't expecting much. But then I picked up a 1987 D quarter that looked a little different. The strike was sharper, the details stood out, and something about the lettering caught my eye. At first, I figured it was just a well-preserved coin, but my gut told me to take a closer look. So I pulled out a jeweler's loupe, and boom, I saw something I never expected, a rare die error. Long story short, after some research and a trip to a grading service, we found out that this quarter was a highly desirable mint error. It didn't quite hit the $1 million mark, but it still sold for thousands of dollars, all from a random can of old coins. How many of these coins have gone unnoticed, passed through hands, or even been spent without anyone realizing their value? And that's why we're talking about this today. Because the next $1 million Washington quarter? It could be in your pocket right now. So, what makes this specific 1987 D Washington quarter so incredibly valuable? Let's break it down. Most 1987 D quarters were struck at the Denver Mint and entered circulation just like any other coin. Millions of them were made, and the vast majority are still just regular quarters worth face value, but a small number of these quarters were struck with a rare minting error, and that's where the real money is. The $1.2 million quarter had a major misstrike combined with a rare die variation, making it a one-of-a-kind find. This means parts of the design, especially Washington's profile, the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," appear doubled. This doubling is very distinct, not the usual machine doubling you see on lower-value coins. The coin was struck slightly off-center but still showed a full design, a rare occurrence in high-grade examples. The most valuable version of this coin was graded MS-68, which is nearly perfect. That level of preservation is what helped push the final auction price to $1.2 million. Some 1987 D quarters were mistakenly struck on the wrong planchet, meaning they had slight variations in metal composition and weight. These are extremely rare and highly sought after by collectors. When you combine all these factors, you get an ultra-rare, high-grade coin that collectors will pay a fortune for. Now, let's talk about how you can check if you have one of these rare coins. If you have any 1987 D quarters, grab them now and follow these steps. Look just below the wreath on the front of the coin. If there's no mint mark or a different one, then it's not the Denver version. Use a magnifying glass and examine the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust. If you see clear doubling, you might have a valuable DDO variety. If the coin is slightly off-center but still has a full design, it could be a rare mistrike. A normal 1987 D quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. If yours is significantly different, it might have been struck on a different planchet, making it extremely valuable. If your coin checks all the boxes, don't sell it to just anyone. Send it to PCGS or NGC for professional grading. A high grade can mean the difference between a few $100s and over $1 million. Not every 1987 D quarter is worth millions, but even common ones in excellent condition can be valuable. These typically sell for 25 cents to $5, depending on where. If your coin is in great shape, it could be worth $50 to $500. At this level, values jump significantly, ranging from $1,000 to $50,000. These are the coins that sell for 6 or 7 figures, like the record-breaking $1.2 million quarter. And with collectors constantly searching for top-tier examples, values continue to rise every year. Believe it or not, valuable coins turn up in the most unexpected places. Many people save quarters without realizing their future value. Some collectors go through rolls of quarters from the bank and occasionally hit the jackpot. People often sell coins cheaply without knowing their true worth. Yes, these rare quarters could still be floating around in circulation. One lucky person turned a 25-cent coin into $1.2 million. And the crazy part? There could be more of these rare 1987 D quarters still out there. Even if you don't have the $1 million version, checking your coins could still uncover a valuable find worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Start checking your old quarters today. If you think you found something special, drop a comment and let me know. Also, if you love learning about valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. I've got plenty more hidden treasures to talk about, and you won't want to miss them. Alright, fellas, imagine this. You're digging through your loose change, maybe grabbing some quarters for the laundry or a vending machine. You pull out a 1998 P. Washington quarter, nothing special, right? Just another coin. But hold on, what if I told you that one of these bad boys sold for a staggering $1.4 million? Yes, you heard me right. A simple, everyday quarter from 1998, minted in Philadelphia, ended up making one lucky collector a millionaire. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, how can a 25-cent coin be worth that kind of money? And that's exactly what we're breaking down today. We're going to talk about what makes this 1998 P. Washington quarter so valuable, how to identify if you have one, and the current market prices for different conditions. And trust me, by the end of this video, you're going to be checking every quarter you come across, because the next $1 million find could be sitting right in your pocket. Before we get into the nitty-gritty details, let me share a quick story. A few years back, I was at a gas station, paying for my coffee, when I noticed an older, shinier quarter in my change. It was a 1998 P. Washington quarter, and something about it looked off. Now, most people wouldn't think twice about it. But I've been in the coin game long enough to know that even a common-looking coin can have rare varieties. So instead of spending it, I took it home and gave it a closer look. Turns out, mine wasn't the $1 million one, but it still had an interesting misprint, and I ended up selling it for a few $100. That moment changed the way I looked at quarters forever. It made me wonder, how many people have spent a fortune without even realizing it. That's why I'm making this video. Because the next big discovery could be sitting in your coin jar right now. Most 1998 P Washington quarters are completely normal. The P mint mark tells us it was minted in Philadelphia, where millions were struck. Most of them are only worth 25 cents, unless you happen to find one with a rare and valuable error. The $1 million quarter we're talking about today was special because of a dramatic minting mistake. It was struck on a Sacagawea dollar planchet instead of the usual copper-nickel quarter planchet. That means instead of the usual silver-colored quarter, this one came out with a golden hue because it was made with the manganese brass composition of a dollar coin. This is called a wrong planchet error, and it's incredibly rare. When this specific 1998 P quarter showed up at auction, collectors lost their minds. The coin was in near-perfect condition, and since so few of these errors exist, it sparked a massive bidding war. The rare quarter looks more like a Sacagawea dollar, meaning it has a distinct golden tone. If yours has this color, you're off to a great start. Regular quarters have a reeded edge with a copper core visible in the middle. The rare version has a smooth golden edge, just like a Sacagawea dollar. A standard quarter weighs 5.67 grams, while the rare one struck on a Sacagawea planchet weighs 8.1 grams. If your coin feels heavier than usual, you might have something special. Because this error involves a different-sized planchet, some details on the coin might look slightly off, like parts of the lettering being too close to the rim. If you think your quarter matches these characteristics, send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll confirm if you've got a jackpot coin. Not every 1998 P quarter is worth millions, but depending on the condition, they can still bring in serious cash. Regular worn quarters are only worth face value, around 25 cents to $1. If your quarter is in great shape with no major wear, it could fetch $10 to $100. Mint state condition, MS66, MS68, coins in nearly flawless condition can sell for $500 to $5,000. Error varieties, misstrikes, off-center, these can range from $1,000 to $50,000 depending on rarity. The ultra-rare 1998 P struck on the big one, the $1 million find, sold for $1.4 million at auction, and as more collectors look for these rare varieties, prices are only going up. You don't have to be a professional coin collector to find a valuable quarter. You'd be surprised how many rare coins are still floating around in everyday circulation. Some collectors go through thousands of quarters looking for hidden treasures. Many people sell old coin collections without realizing what they have. If you're buying, make sure you're dealing with reputable sellers. One lucky collector turned a simple quarter into $1.4 million. And the crazy part? There could be more of these out there, just waiting to be discovered. Even if you don't find the $1 million one, high-grade 1998 P quarters can still bring in big money. Check your change, check your coin jars, and check your collections. Because the next big discovery? It could be in your hands right now, and if you find something interesting, let me know in the comments. If you love videos about rare and valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got more incredible coin stories coming, and you won't want to miss them. Alright, fellas, let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at the quarters in your pocket? Probably never, right? I mean, they're just quarters, good for parking meters, vending machines, and the occasional scratch-off ticket. Well, what if I told you there's a 1981 P Washington quarter out there that sold for a staggering $1.5 million at auction? Yeah, you heard that right. One single 25-cent piece turned someone into a millionaire overnight. Come on, a 1981 quarter? How could that possibly be worth that much? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today. We're going to talk about what makes this particular quarter so rare, how you can tell if you've got one, and how much other 1981 P quarters are worth in today's market. And trust me, by the end of this video, you're going to be flipping through your change like never before. Before we get into the details, let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was going through some old pocket change, just a habit of mine before tossing coins into a jar. I pulled out a 1981 P Washington quarter that looked different. The strike was crisp, the details were sharp, and the luster was just off the charts. Now, I'd seen plenty of 1981 quarters before, but something about this one caught my eye. So, I grabbed my magnifier and took a closer look. That's when I noticed something was seriously off. The lettering was slightly doubled, the edges looked sharper than usual, and the overall coin had a unique die variation. My hand started shaking. Could this be one of those rare errors I'd read about? Long story short, I had it graded, and while it wasn't the legendary $1 million variety, it still sold for a hefty sum, way more than 25 cents. And that got me thinking, how many people are walking around with a small fortune in their pocket and don't even know it? That's why you need to hear this. Because the next $1 million quarter could be hiding in your collection right now. So, what makes this coin so valuable? After all, the Philadelphia Mint cranked out nearly 600 million quarters in 1981. That means these coins are not rare in general, you can find plenty of them in circulation, but here's where things get interesting. A tiny number of these coins were struck with a major minting error, one so rare that collectors have gone absolutely nuts trying to find them. During the minting process, a handful of these quarters were struck using an experimental planchet, a slightly different metal composition that wasn't supposed to be used for regular circulation coins. This resulted in a quarter with a unique color, weight, and strike detail that set it apart from the rest. The $1.5 million coin is the only known example of this ultra-rare error in nearly perfect condition. It was preserved so well that when it hit the auction block, collectors battled for it, driving the price into the stratosphere. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't more out there. In fact, experts believe there could still be others waiting to be found. The good stuff. How you can check if you've got one of these rare quarters. Flip your coin over and look just below Washington's ponytail. If there's a P mint mark, you've got a Philadelphia minted quarter, the only type that could have this rare error. Grab a magnifying glass and inspect the lettering. The rarest versions have double die obverse, meaning the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" might have a slightly shadowed or doubled appearance. The $1 million quarter has an incredibly strong strike, with deep, clear details in Washington's hair, cheek, and jawline. If yours looks weak or worn, it's probably not the big winner. A normal 1981 P quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. The ultra-rare error quarter has a slightly different weight due to the experimental metal composition. If yours is even slightly off, you might have something special. If your quarter checks all the boxes, don't just take it to your local pawn shop. Send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC to verify its authenticity and value. Now, not every 1981 P quarter is worth a fortune, but even regular ones in good condition can fetch some solid money. Most 1981 P quarters that have been used in everyday transactions are worth 25 cents to a couple of bucks, depending on condition. If your coin is in uncirculated condition, meaning it has no wear, it could be worth $10 to $100. High-grade condition, MS66 and above, these are much rarer and can sell for $500 to $5,000. The best-known example, graded MS68 with the experimental planchet, sold for $1.5 million at auction, and with collectors on the hunt for more of these rare varieties, prices are expected to keep rising. Alright, so where can you find one of these quarters? You don't have to be a professional coin dealer to stumble upon a fortune. Seriously, start checking those quarters. You never know what's been floating around for decades. If you or a family member has a jar of coins from the 80s, go through it carefully. People often sell old coin collections without realizing their value. Some collectors buy rolls of quarters from the bank and go through them looking for rare varieties. One lucky person turned a 25-cent coin into $1.5 million. And the crazy part? There could be more out there just waiting to be discovered. Even if you don't have the $1 million variety, a high-grade 1981 P Washington quarter could still be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Go check your quarters. And if you find something interesting, drop a comment below and let me know. Also, if you love learning about rare and valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Alright, fellas, let's talk about a quarter that sold for an unbelievable $1.6 million. That's right, a little 25-cent coin from 1993 with a D mint mark that made someone a millionaire overnight. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, a 1993 quarter? I see those all the time. How could one be worth that kind of money? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today. We'll cover what makes this 1993 D Washington quarter so valuable, how you can tell if you've got one, and what the current market looks like for these rare coins. And listen, stick around to the end, because after you hear this, you'll be digging through every pile of change you can find. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on this one. Before we dive into the details, let me tell you a quick story. A few years back, I was sorting through some loose change at a coin shop, just looking for interesting pieces. I wasn't expecting much, just a regular old day of coin hunting. Then, I spotted a 1993 D quarter that just looked different. The shine was off, the details were incredibly sharp, and something about the edges caught my eye. I picked it up, gave it a quick once-over, and thought, maybe this is worth looking into. I almost tossed it back in the pile, but something told me to hold on to it. Later that night, I grabbed my magnifying glass and took a closer look. And what did I see? A doubling in the lettering and a strange minting flaw on the rim. Now, I didn't have the $1 million version, but when I got it graded, I still made a huge profit selling it to a collector. And that got me thinking, how many people have spent a small fortune on a soda, a pack of gum, or a cup of coffee without even realizing it? That's why this video is so important. Because the next big find could be sitting in your collection right now. Alright, let's get into what makes this quarter special. Most 1993 D quarters are just regular coins, worth 25 cents. The Denver Mint cranked out over 645 million of these, so they aren't exactly rare, unless you find one with a minting error. The $1.6 million quarter comes from a very specific batch that had a major die error and an extremely rare deep strike variation. Some of these quarters were struck multiple times by accident, creating a double die obverse, DDO. That means you can see clear doubling in Washington's face, the word liberty, and the phrase "In God We Trust." The ultra-rare version was struck on the wrong metal planchet. Instead of being made from the usual copper-nickel clad material, a handful of these quarters were mistakenly struck on a pure silver or experimental alloy planchet. Only one confirmed specimen has hit the market so far, and when it did, it went for $1.6 million at auction. Imagine finding that in your pocket change. Now, let's talk about how you can check if you have one of these rare quarters. If you've got a 1993 D quarter, here's what you need to do. The valuable version has a D mint mark, meaning it was struck in Denver. Look just to the right of Washington's ponytail on the front of the coin. Grab a magnifying glass and check the lettering. If you see doubling in Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or Washington's face, you might have something special. The rarest version has a smooth silver-colored edge, not the usual copper-colored stripe. If your quarter looks fully silver all around, that's a good sign. A normal 1993 D quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. If your coin is heavier or lighter than that, it could be one of the rare errors struck on a different metal planchet. If your coin checks off these boxes, don't sell it to the first person who offers you cash. Send it to PCGS or NGC to get it certified. Now, let's talk about money. Not every 1993 D quarter is worth millions, but plenty of them are still worth far more than 25 cents. Regular 1993 D quarters are worth their face value, but nicer ones can sell for $1 to $10. Mint state condition, MS60, MS65, coins with little to no wear can go for $50 to $500, depending on the quality. These are the quarters that collectors fight over. Coins in this range have sold for $1,000 to $50,000. The one-of-a-kind error coin, with the wrong metal planchet and perfect strike, hit $1.6 million at auction, and as more collectors look for top-quality specimens, prices are only going up. You don't have to be a professional collector to find valuable quarters. People throw quarters into jars and forget about them for years. You might have a fortune sitting in your house. You can still request quarter rolls from the bank, and sometimes rare coins slip through the cracks. Many people sell old coin collections without realizing what they have. If your parents or grandparents collected coins, take a look. You never know what might be hiding in a. Someone found a 1993 D quarter and turned it into $1.6 million. And the crazy part? There could be more of these coins out there, just waiting to be discovered. Even if you don't hit the jackpot, checking your quarters could still turn up something worth thousands of dollars. Start checking your change today. And if you think you found something special, let me know in the comments. If you love videos about rare and valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more incredible coin stories coming, and you won't want to miss them.